Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sync Up Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things OneDrive. OneDrive is the home for all of the files that you care about most, and we are here to take you behind the scenes to get the insights and the knowledge to make your experience and your users' experience better. My name is Stephen Rice, and I'm a Principal Product Manager on the OneDrive team, and I am joined, as always, by my fellow OneDrive aficionado, Arvind Mishra.
Thanks, Stephen. Hey, everyone. I'm Arvind, and I'm also a Principal Product Manager on the OneDrive team. Today, we've got a great set of discussions and topics. So we're actually going to be switching things up a little bit because I know we normally talk about all things IT Pro and admin and enterprise and all this really, really interesting stuff. But today, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about OneDrive's amazing mobile experience, as well as a whole bunch of stuff that's coming up in the area of photos. Now, I got to say, a lot of these features, or all of these features really, are just going to be available for OneDrive personal accounts. It's for our consumer audience. So with that, we're joined this week by the amazing Olga Dalecka. Olga, come on, please tell us about yourself. Our audience would love to get to know you.
Hello, happy to be here. Happy to have already gotten a middle name in the course of this podcast that I will now have to go by for the rest of my life. I've been a product manager at Microsoft for about 13 years, which every time I say it out loud to someone feels a little bit like a painful reminder of just the passage of time. In my 13 years at Microsoft, I've been on the Office team for about 6 of them, and then the OneDrive team for 7. So around 5 of those were on OneDrive Web, working on all those commercial experiences that were blahing past today. And then the last 2 have been on the photo space, particularly on mobile, which has been a lot of fun and an opportunity to get to build a new set of experiences and learn a bunch of cool new things and work with new people. So excited to dig into some of the stuff that the team's been cooking up today.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for this discussion. But before we can get to it, we've got 2 things, two house businesses we got to take care of. Number 1, I need to know if you guys could capture one moment from your life and have it automatically uploaded to OneDrive, photos, videos, whatever it might have been. What would it be? And don't limit yourself to just the time that OneDrive has been around.
I think for me, there are 2 moments that come to mind. One is that I play board games with my partner probably a couple times a week. And what I would really love for OneDrive to be able to do is immortalize that feeling of beating my partner at a board game and just stitch all those moments together. So every time I lose, I could kind of savor that and prove to myself that this is a one-time thing. And the other thing I was thinking of was the moment right as you're about to get to the top of a mountain, to be okay, it's over, it's done. That sense of relief and accomplishment would be great if I could just relive that moment on demand.
I love it. Arvind, what about you?
This, I'm going to be dating myself here, but it would be great to have, because I would say when I met my wife, which was eons ago, digital cameras weren't a thing. And so I would pick almost any moment from, that era of my life. Cause it was, not that life's not great now, life's always great, but I have no digital recollections of that period of time. And so if I could, I'd like to capture just any of those moments, when we were dating or whatever, and then have that uploaded to the cloud and, show up in my moments of joy that I get every day. So what about you, Stephen?
Yeah, mine is kind of similar. This is so when I was a kid, and this was fairly early on when I think digital cameras were starting to become mainstream. My best friend at the time, he and I filmed a bunch of really stupid how-to videos around the house, how to properly wash your hands, how to fold towels in the bathroom, all these weird hotel housekeeping style videos.
Were they supposed to be funny or
I couldn't tell you. I was 5 or 6 or something like that. But they're the type of content that would make for amazing blackmail. Because I enjoyed the videoing, recording side, and he did all of the model work, whatever you want to call it. And it would make such amazing blackmail if I still had those. But that's the type of thing where they were stored on a computer, that computer crashed or got put in an attic or deteriorated, and now it's lost the time. And I know he's very grateful for it. But If OneDrive had existed at that time and I had, known fold remove or automatic backup, I would still have them.
In some ways, I guess those of us that are older are lucky that we were able to record all of our video on actual tapes. So none of it was in the cloud or on a computer per se. So.
I was going to say, there's two ways that the tape lasts as long as you have the tape, you still have the video. And then B, you also have full control over it because you didn't post it online.
And now it can be, and now my tapes are in the cloud. But anyways, that's enough of this icebreaker. Let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Breaking news from the cloud. The Microsoft 365 Community Conference has either just happened, is happening right this very minute, or is mere moments away, depending on when you're hearing this.
And let me tell you, OneDrive is on fire. We are talking about more new features than you can shake a synced folder at. I'm talking AI. I'm talking performance. I'm talking, why wasn't this here 5 years ago type of updates.
You like file sharing?
It's better.
You like file search?
It's better.
You like that button that you click but never really understand? Now it glows.
But wait, maybe you missed it. Maybe your cat walked across your calendar and deleted your RSVP. Maybe your flight got rerouted to Cleveland. Whatever the excuse, we got you.
The sessions, every brilliant, nerdy, jaw-dropping OneDrive moment is going to be up on the Microsoft 365 Community Learning YouTube channel.
That's right, the YouTube channel where knowledge never sleeps. Hit that subscribe button like it's a sync issue that you're trying to resolve aggressively.
Go watch the sessions, rewatch them, watch them in 2x speed so we sound smarter.
Or watch them at 3/4 speed so Steven sounds like he's had too much SharePoint, like way too much SharePoint.
It's the future of OneDrive, folks, and the future is incredibly well organized. All right, Olga, let us dive into our first topic of the day, which is kind of the OneDrive mobile experience. We had a recent refresh of the experience that we're going to go into in more depth, but I actually wanted to kind of start at like a higher level, a 10,000 foot level. What are the things that the team is thinking about? What is our goal when it comes to the OneDrive mobile experience?
Oh man, so for the OneDrive mobile experience, I'll say that this is an area where the team has really huge ambitions. So one of the things that we've been learning a lot from like industry trends and from customer research is that more and more customers are starting to use their phone as their primary device, or are really focused on these experiences where it's like you do a little bit on your phone, you go back to your computer, you go back to your phone. And we're really looking at like, how do we transform the mobile experience so that it has everything you need wherever you're working, whatever device you like to work on, like whether you start on mobile or you end on mobile. And one of the big things that the team has been focused on for the last 2 years or so is really to rethink our consumer experiences around photos, especially on mobile.
Let's start with maybe some stats, Olga, like to ground ourselves. What is it that makes photos such a core part of the OneDrive experience on mobile?
There's kind of two angles that we look at from this, and I'll start with the data angle first, since you asked about it. Like when I think about why photos are important to OneDrive, one of the first things that comes to mind is that over half of the files in OneDrive are photos and videos. So even though we say like files are OneDrive's big job, like so much of that comes out of like photo and video experiences. The second is that our photos engaged customers are the majority of our monthly active users on mobile. So when we look at the file types that customers are using for, their daily tasks, like photos and videos are just a huge part of like those scenarios. And we really wanted to think about like, what would photo and video tailored experiences look like? And then the last is that our engaged photo users are some of our most active and most engaged users when we look at like the people who make up like the beating heart of our OneDrive product, especially on mobile. So that's the data side. But the other part of it that I think is super interesting is just around like, what do photos mean to OneDrive as a mission? So one of the things that the team keeps in mind is like, how do we empower every individual to rekindle past memories and share the joy of those memories with loved ones? So like we especially for OneDrive, are in this position where like we're very humbled and honored by like people choosing to store their most treasured and precious memories with OneDrive. Like we really see that as like this huge show of like trust and faith. And we want to like honor those experiences around people's most precious digital content. Like we kind of talked about in the icebreakers, right? Like that digital content is so important for both like those precious memories and also future like financially lucrative bank blackmail opportunities.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And we just want to make sure that we do a great job with storing the content, letting you reminisce about your content, and then like sharing and collaborating on it with your loved ones. So we've been really like keeping that sort of front and center as a philosophy on the team as we build new experiences.
That is so well put, Olga. I mean, like, I think when I think about photos, like photos are, I mean, they are the number one consumer application. But also to what you said so well was just like, there's this emotional component that you just don't have with like a PDF or a document or a Word file, like on an average one, in the way that you might have with photos. I'm like digging myself out of holes today.
I was going to say.
But like, no, but I mean, I think our audience knows what we're talking about. Like a photo can mean so much, and that's why they're so important. And yeah, I mean, I just love what you said about that. But it's also been a very different thing for OneDrive. I mean, we've been so focused on files and documents and PDFs and managing all that it's been a big transition. And, that's kind of manifesting itself in the latest version of our mobile app, right? Like that was a substantial change from what was there before. And yeah, like, can you tell us a little bit about how that came about? What's in it?
Yeah, what's in it and like why we built it beyond all those reasons about photos being great. So one of the things that we thought about a lot was how when you look at kind of our competitor offerings around photos, they tend to have this like distinction, like here's the app for your files experiences and here's the app for your photos experiences. And when we approached that problem from our team's perspective, like one of the challenges we ran up, and it was that there are so many photos and images that are memories, and then there are so many of these like photos and images that are more file or like fulfill different roles in people's lives, right?
Like a scan of a contract or something.
Yeah. One of the scenarios that we heard from a customer was, I took all these photos of this like water damage in my ceiling and like I need to fill an insurance claim, right? And it's really important for me to be able to find that content easily. But do I want it treated the same way as like a cherished memory that I relive? Like, probably not. That's probably not like what you want to be reminded of in your OneDrive experience when you come back. But like when we kept going to customers, we would hear, from them that you kind of have to do both, right? Like you both want that ability to organize and find and work with images and photos as files. And then you also want that ability to like reminisce and collaborate. So like one of the earliest decisions we made was that we needed to have a way to achieve both of those sets of scenarios and both those user needs in one app. And the way that we did that was having one very like focused photos as memories experience, as well as photos as files experiences, so that you didn't lose any of your organization, but as like we took a step towards making our OneDrive mobile app more photos focused, we wanted to have like those rich reminiscing and collaborating memories and capabilities there, just like one swipe away.
Yeah, so this manifested as, I imagine, that kind of photos, files toggle that exists at the kind of I don't know what you call it, the header?
Yeah, the header. Yep.
I know words.
You know words. You've seen our mobile app. You know how to get from one side to the other. So at the top of the mobile app, if you've seen it recently, or maybe you're looking at it right now because you're listening to the OneDrive podcast, we just have a toggle to go between photos and files, right? So now we can kind of honor like these customer scenarios and needs and really have like these experiences focused on celebrating your photo content, as well as organizing all of your content and all of the files that you already trust OneDrive to keep safe for you.
One of the experiences that I love, and I sort of mentioned this earlier in the podcast, what is the email that I get every day that is all about like, hey, this is what you were doing on this day or whatever. And we are kind of supercharging that inside of the app, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about the stuff that we have today, and then I'll also talk a little bit about some of the things the team is thinking about in that coming soon category. So like you said, we have this experience in the app called Moments of Joy, which means which refers to this collection of photos that we have curated for you to help you relive like a recent trip or a point in time, like a year ago, or like what you got up to last month, right? And they're all kind of around this like reminiscing job. And we hear from customers that like there are a lot of situations where these moments are very like emotionally evocative and powerful. And what we wanted to do as a team was really like revisit how do we connect customers to those moments? How do we build out more moments to let people reminisce? And you can see that with like where we've built it into the photos experience, where it's like on the top of your gallery, so that like whenever you go look at your photos, like the very first thing we serve you are these like memories and things that you might want to look at again and just sort of be delighted about having. I think there's something really compelling about like this digital equivalent of like pulling an album off of a shelf, right? To be like, oh, right, I was like this moment, this place that I was is really like compelling in a way that maybe PDFs aren't compelling to Arvind's like earlier anti-PDF perspective.
All these slights against other file types. I didn't know this was going to be such a biased podcast.
The Word team's going to be very angry. They're like, oh, don't.
I'm just occasionally like looking over and pointing at that hole that Arvind dug for himself earlier to be like, don't forget about it. It's still there.
Those moments of joys are like, if you know the lingo, MOJs as we call them internally, those are all very, they're time-based today, which makes them so like, very, very awesome to look at.
Yeah.
You were going to talk about something, how we're thinking about them, more broadly.
Yeah. So there's some stuff that the team has in the works, which should be coming to your mobile devices soon, which is really around, we've gotten a lot of positive reception to this like strip of moments. But there's an effort that we're doing for figuring out how do we bring those memories and those like MOJs into a dedicated pivot and view, so that like if you're in the mood to kind of like reminisce and reconnect, we have like a designated place for you to do that, which we'll release with our moments pivot. There's a bunch of work we're doing to make sure that we really like have all the moments and have all the experiences to justify dedicating a whole pivot to it. But one of my favorite features inside of it that we're excited about is just photo shuffle. So it's this new concept in the moments pivot where like after you get through all of these kind of like curated moments from either like recent events or like categories of moments, like here are all my photos of my dog, or here are just photos of like events or trips, to then this photo shuffle feature will be on the pivot, and it's just like it's a button, and when you tap the button, the photos will shuffle around and just pull random ones from your gallery. And there's something really addictive about having like a button that you tap, and you're like, every time it's just like you're surprised with something new and delightful from your photo library.
It is now my turn to date myself. Did either of you ever use the Stumble Upon? I think it was like a browser add-on back in the day.
I had it. Yeah, I did. I try to remember what it actually did, but I do remember the logo and everything.
I don't even remember 100%. But it had the same kind of feel where it was just like, you know what? Just like find me an interesting website to go look at. Like it was kind of the equivalent now, I think, of just like searching out a random Wikipedia page effectively. But it's the same sort of thing where like it sounds kind of dumb when you describe it, and then you try it and you're just like, ooh, something new. Ooh, something new. I guess I'm just describing TikTok though, right? Like just the endlessly scrolling feed. But
yeah, but you'd rather scroll through your own stuff as opposed to just some random stuff, Time well spent.
That's the magic of OneDrive.
Yeah. Instead, photo shuffle, all the thrill of a button that does something and brings you back delightful moments, and will let you tap it as many times as you want. So, Moments Pivot coming soon. Photo shuffle in Moments Pivot coming soon. More moments, more experiences around moments. And the very first thing you can do right now on your app is check out that Moments of Joy strip just at the top of the gallery in the Photos node in OneDrive. So, more coming soon.
Sweet.
So Olga, if I just wanted to view my files, not through Moments, but not my files, but my photos, you know what I mean? Like in this kind of gallery pivot, what else have we done in gallery to make that viewing experience more enjoyable for me or easier to use?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I'll call out. Like the first is that the team spent a lot of time figuring out how to like lay out the gallery well and make sure that we have the right focal point on every image in your gallery so that like, we're centering people's faces as opposed to like, their shoulder and like the thumbnail that you see.
Smart crop.
Right? Smart crop, but always shoulders.
Right. With a rival or something.
And there's a few things you can try. So right now, Android is a little bit ahead of the rest of the pack. So like some of the things that we have right now in Android is the ability to group similar photos together. So this is something that internally we call photo stack, but it's really meant for this scenario where like you're taking a photo either like of yourself or you and your partner are on a trip and like, I have a hard time taking just one photo, right? Of like me and my partner in front of something, right? Like we want to make sure we've captured the moment. So then we take like, 10 photos, right? But do I need all 10 of those photos like taking up space in my gallery? Like probably not. So what we've done is we run an AI model locally to detect like similarity between all of your photos to just intelligently create these stacks. So then you have like one photo that like represents the whole stack. You can go look through the whole stack if you want, but you can also like clearly like swipe past it to look through other photos in your gallery.
So I have to ask Olga, because for two reasons. One, I'm an iPhone user. And then number two is I have many dog photos where like I'll be scrolling through my gallery and it's like, this is that time I was trying to get 4 dogs to sit still to take a picture. And so I have like 20 photos of the same thing that are all of mixed quality. So you said it's Android only right now. Do you have a sense of when this might come to iPhone in the future?
Yeah, so iOS coming soon. I'm going to probably be a little bit like hand wavy with soon, but I can say it's something that we're seeing in our internal like alpha builds right now. Hopefully we get it rolled out to customers in like the next couple months, and then you'll be able to collapse all those photos that you took of your dog into like a single thumbnail as opposed to your entire photo gallery.
Perfect. It always is fun when I'm scrolling through and it's just like you hit the wall of like, and there's all 30 photos of the same thing.
All the dogs.
Taking photos of your dog is incredibly challenging. I think all of us on the call are dog owners, so we know.
Well, the other component about photos that are like the other emotional component about photos is the social aspect of them. And so sharing's obviously a big thing. Can you talk about like how we're making sharing better just broadly?
Yeah. So two things that I'll call out real briefly. Like one is, and I'll focus first on like the experience for when someone else shares photos with you, right? Or shares an album with you. What our perspective is like when we've talked to people, there are so many people that we heard from who sort of like share this experience where there's like one person like in their relationship or in their friend group who's like the photographer, right? And who takes on that responsibility for themselves. And what we really wanted to do was make sure that regardless of who took the photo, like it was easy for you to be able to like relive and reminisce about that moment. So now when someone shares photos with you, you have a setting in your gallery to immediately see all those shared photos in your gallery. There's some additional controls that we have to be like, oh, maybe I don't want Steven's photos because Steven keeps sending me photos of his dog. But you can have like all the content that people give you and people send to you just immediately show up in your gallery to be able to swipe through it and also easily filter out in and out things that you may not want to look at that time. We also made some changes to the albums pivot. So it used to be, back in the pre-toggle world, that if someone shared an album with you, it would show up as a folder in your shared with me list. And what we did was we pulled out all of those albums that people share, put it in the albums pivot, put it at the top. So it's really clear like who the album came from and made it really easy for you to be able to get back to it. And then on the other side, we've made a bunch of changes to our sharing experiences for things you want to share with others. So one big change was that we defaulted our photo sharing experience to share the photo as opposed to a link to the photo.
Oh, thank you.
I know.
It's so annoying.
Right? So now you know exactly like what your recipient is going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's easy for you to share it to just social media immediately or whatever apps you have on your phone immediately. And we've heard like really great response from customers that now it just works, how they expect it to work. And the team's also done like some really nice like optimizations where like if you share an album or if you share like a collection of photos, we'll show you a little like collage of everything you're sharing like before you hit the share button. Super excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. All right, next kind of bucket of features as part of this kind of mobile revamp. I mean, I don't know, is that not the right word?
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're OneDrive. The next folder of features.
Oh, it's okay.
What have we done to make it easier to get my photos and content into my OneDrive app?
Yeah, so we love photos. We love files. Like we're like a tiny little OneDrive cloud, just trying to hold all of your content safely in its arms. So we wanted to make some improvements into how easy it is to get camera roll backup enabled and then like know that your photos are safe. So this is one of the there's one change that I love that's like a little bit more subtle, where now if you have camera roll backup enabled and you launch your OneDrive app, you'll see this little like green circle filling up around your profile picture. And as soon as like camera roll backup has gotten all your photos safely to the cloud, like there's a little green circle that fills up around your profile picture. And then it becomes a check mark to just kind of like reassure you that we've got all your stuff. You're good to go. Like, you don't have to worry anymore. We've also made some optimizations in the app with this create fab, which is this little plus icon on the bottom of the mobile app. So that's like your one tap operation to upload or scan or take a photo and get it up into your OneDrive. And it's also sort of the fastest way to do a search within your OneDrive. So you just tap, you just search, and then you find your stuff. And we wanted to make sure that was always like in that bottom right corner, just like one small move away from you being able to do it.
I can't say enough good things about camera roll backup. I have a friend that they're on a Windows PC and they were just they were struggling just to get their phone photos specifically onto their bigger screen device, and specifically their Windows PC. And I was like, "Hey, have you heard of camera roll backup?" And they're like, "No." So installed it. Everything just automatically works. Like if you're a Windows user and you have a mobile phone and you want to view your photos on your bigger screen, this is like a no-brainer to have this enabled on your OneDrive app, is what I would say. So, but anyways, well, let me ask you about one last really important area on the photo experience side. You take a photo, you want to do something with it, like in terms of like making it better, improving it. Like, there are a lot of editing capabilities built into the OneDrive experience I don't think a lot of people even know about. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So if you open a photo in your OneDrive, there is an ability to edit it, which has all of the like basic editing that you would expect. So the ability to do markup, to add filters, to crop it, to like make small changes. And one of the things that the team is working on and thinking about is how do we add more AI capabilities. So you can try the very first one of these in Android now, which is just background blur. So like if you don't want to have the background of your picture be the focus, like it's just sort of one quick tap. We've tried to make it really good at like detecting the edges of things. And like when we try it out side by side with some of our competitor offerings, like we're really happy with how well we're stacking up, but we'd love to hear from customers just to make sure like it works exactly as you want. And if you ever want to send us feedback, all you have to do is shake your mobile device, and then we pop up the UX for you to be able to report an issue or make a suggestion to your team, to our team, if you want to reach out to us.
And all that feedback goes directly into Olga's inbox. So
the whole OneDrive product team will read whatever you want to tell us after you've shaken your phone.
Yeah. So I think that summarizes a lot of the new mobile experience that we've shipped. I want to transition. We talked about this a little bit, but I want to talk about the future of OneDrive Mobile, and particularly around what we're thinking around the photos experience. You talked a little bit about those kind of the moments pivot inside of the mobile app, the kind of shuffle feature. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of where directionally where we're going, the types of stuff we're thinking about. I want to throw out the disclaimer first that this is all, we're now into the world of theory and, magical Christmas land. Not coming out tomorrow is the important part.
Yeah, this is the hopes and dreams segment, right? But, some of these hopes and dreams have like documents and thinking and code yet, and some of them are still just a twinkle in a little PM's eye, right?
Exactly. What are some of those hopes and dreams, Olga? Let's start there.
Hopes and dreams. Yeah. So one thing that the team's been thinking about a lot is, we kind of talked about moments, we talked about editing. One thing that we've been thinking about, which I haven't mentioned yet, is really around like photo cleanup. So like one of our favorite icebreakers on our team is to basically ask like, what's the last photo in your camera roll, right? Because when people think about their camera roll, they think about all of those like amazing moments and experiences that they treasure. But in reality, it's like, I took a photo of my car in a parking lot to remember where I parked, or I stayed in a hotel and I needed to remember my room number, right? Or I took a photo of my lunch, right? And like, there are some cases where you're like, man, I really want to keep these photos. But I think that there's this really interesting scenario about photos that you take kind of as this like temporary like memory cache, right? It's like, I'll need this piece of information. I only need it for a short amount of time. And I don't really want to be paying storage for it forever. Right. So one of the things we're thinking about is how do we make those photo cleanup experiences really easy for customers, because it means that you're only needing to pay storage for the things that you really care about and you want to keep. And then it makes all of our photos experiences better because we already have a bunch of logic to make sure that we don't surface a receipt as like a cherished moment in your like moments of joy. But I think it's harder for us to always have the context for like, when was this photo you took of a meal at a restaurant like meaningful to you versus like, no, this was just like a one-off and I texted that photo to my friend and now it's done. I don't really want to hold on to it. So we've been doing a lot of thinking about like, how do we build really like smart AI, a really like clean like user experience so that customers can choose what they want to cherish and what they want to keep, and to kind of just like clean up the rest, right? So that you get the most value out of like what you're paying for when you use OneDrive for storage. Another thing that, I think it'll be really interesting is around how do we build more sort of curated and like personalized experiences for customers based on like the content in your OneDrive. So this idea that like, if I guess I'll pick on Steven because I already picked on Arvind about PDFs before. But like Steven is already established. He takes a lot of photos of his dog and they take up a bunch of space in Steven's gallery, right? And we're thinking about how do we kind of honor that need for customers, and like how do we figure out intelligently like where to put it as like a separate pivot to be like, maybe dog photos aren't something that are meaningful or significant to every person, but how do we know when they are to someone like Steven, and then say like, hey, here are photos of your dog. Like, here's the photos from the beach. Here's the photos of like your dog with their little dog buddies, right? To really make sure that we're not only keeping your content safe, but really like building experiences around like the photos that you want to connect with and the photos that are the most meaningful to you.
I guess maybe to sort of translate that, dogs are very important to Steven, so you could see a focus for him, whereas you might like cats. And I got to ask you, is there plans for like a filter that will help with my face and just making me look
filter
better
for your face?
Preferably one you can use in real life as well as on OneDrive.
I mean, we got to have all the co-pilots and AI doing working here.
I mean, we've definitely been exploring with like different AI editing capabilities, like different filters, like different sort of automatic things that you can do on top of your photos to just make them look better, to make you look better automatically. But you'll have to check out the alpha build to see if like the filter you're dreaming about is real and like ready to go in OneDrive.
Yeah, just make sure you tune it to this face, not everyone else.
Right.
I was gonna say, Arvind, are we sure there's enough processing power in the world for that AI filter?
We might have to open up a new server farm.
Yeah, our one testing set of testing data will be photos of Arvind's face. We're gonna fine tune that.
Thank you. Money well spent.
Yeah. But yeah, we're really into photos, really into figuring out like other capabilities that customers love, so they can meet all of their hopes and dreams after we finish building all of our hopes and dreams.
So cool.
Okay, before we finish up, Olga, you've mentioned AI a few times, which is maybe not a surprise to anyone who pays attention to the tech world at the moment. But just because we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I find it's a good thing for us to reinforce. What are the kind of what's the playbook Microsoft uses when it comes to customer content, AI, your photos? I just want to make sure that's like extra clear, and we reinforce that as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know that I've talked about how memories and photos are these precious digital assets for people. And I think that preciousness and importance means that at Microsoft, we want to make sure that we always treat them with care and responsibility. So there are a few places where we've built AI capabilities for photos before, and I'll use the example of the facial recognition capability that we have in OneDrive today. A few of the ways that we make sure to treat that data with care is that anyone can opt out whenever they want to. So if at any point you're not comfortable with Microsoft processing your photos for the faces of your loved ones, you can opt out. If you do opt out, we delete all of the data. And we also spend a lot of the time as a team trying to make sure that we get the content right. So that we spend a lot of time looking at feedback from customers. We have a thumbs up, thumbs down control next to all of our AI features. That's feedback that the team all reads to make sure we continue iterating and making the experience better. And we hold ourselves to this really high standard to make sure we're always getting clear and informed consent from customers, that we're treating their data with a lot of sensitivity and importance, and that we make sure to scrub any personally identifying content in your photos for anything that we might look at to make sure that we're continuing to protect your privacy. So even though we want to build all these cool AI things, we always want to make sure that we balance it with a sense of customer trust and treating people's data with dignity.
Well said. Well said. Olga, this is an awesome episode. When I love talking about photos and all things consumer. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today. I feel like I learned a lot. I'm sure our audience learned a lot. I know Steven probably learned a lot too. If people want to, find out more about you or learn more about you, where should they reach out to you on? Like usually it's like a LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn? Do you know what your address is? All that?
I am on LinkedIn. I do not remember what my LinkedIn address is for this question, but feel free to connect on LinkedIn. And as I mentioned before, if you have thoughts or feedback or you find issues in OneDrive, we're always just like one phone shake away.
Olga is one shake away. I love that.
Me, I'm the entire team. I debug.
Well, one person show here, man.
I PM, I design.
It's amazing how much you accomplish, Olga.
You're so productive.
All right.
Do my best.
If you want to learn more about OneDrive and the latest and greatest, you can check out the blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog. You can join our OneDrive customer office hours. It's a once a month event where you get to talk directly with the product team. There's topics available online. That is aka.ms/OneDrive office hours. You can find me at LinkedIn at srice08 and Arvind at ArvindMishra1.
And as always, we love hearing from you, our listeners. You can send us questions directly by emailing us at syncupquestions@microsoft.com. You can visit our page for links and resources and more at aka.ms/syncup. The other thing I would also mention, if you happen to listen to this before the M365 community conference that's coming up in Las Vegas, come find us at the booth. Steven and myself will be there, and we'd love to say hi.
Don't forget to subscribe to SyncUp wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy SyncUp or find it useful, tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to get people engaged, help us grow the show. And of course, if you're curious about other Microsoft podcasts, check out aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. As always, a huge thanks to our editing team for making this possible. Today, we have special editor Jessica who has joined us, and Lisa as well.
Woo-hoo! Thank you for listening to SyncUp. We've been your hosts, Steven and Arvind, and we'll catch up with you next month.